Hi, everyone, this is the Encyclopedia Channel. The book that this program interprets for you is Billion Dollar Loser, The Epic Rise and Spectacular Fall of Adam Neumann and WeWork. The main content of this book is reflected in the title of the book, WeWork and its founder Rise and Fall. WeWork is an office space leasing company in the United States. The founder is Adam Neumann, who is the billionaire in the title of the book. In the past decade or so, shared office has been very popular, and the most famous company among them is WeWork. As of late May 2022, its market value is about $5 billion US. It sounds good, but did you know that in 2019, the company's valuation was much higher than the $5 billion in 2022, and was once as high as $47 billion US, which is an entrepreneurial myth. What happened in between? Why is this star company falling? What lessons can we learn from it? After listening to this episode, you will be able to answer these questions. The topic of the rise and fall of WeWork is a hot topic, and there are many books about it, but they all have to refer to this book more or less, because this book tells the complete history of WeWork's rise and fall for the first time. The author of this book, Reeves Widman, is a special editor of the American New York magazine. In order to write this book, he has done more than 200 interviews and obtained a lot of exclusive inside information. WeWork had two founders, Adam Neumann and Miguel McKelvey, but Adam Neumann quickly took over the reins. He also likes to say, "I am WeWork." Although the tone is loud, but one person can value the company at $47 billion US, presumably it is not an ordinary person. Some of Adam's behaviors are indeed different from other entrepreneurs. He often drinks hard alcohol in meetings and wanders barefoot on the street. But he was ambitious, using jobs as a role model and comparing his company to Amazon. In addition to being erratic and ambitious, Adam was a great business storyteller, a master negotiator, and always managed to raise a lot of money. WeWork has been closely related to this person from scratch, from prosperity to decline. Adam led WeWork to rise rapidly, but his ambition was divorced from reality, only looking at growth and ignoring operations. WeWork is expanding in losses, like a castle in the air. The bigger it is, the more likely it will collapse. In the end, the shell of the entrepreneurial myth was punctured, and people saw the absurd background. The story of Adam and WeWork is a good reminder to all those who are on the road of entrepreneurship. The more you are advancing, the more vigilant you need to be. In addition to telling Adam's story and the rise and fall of WeWork, the book also reveals a bigger picture. WeWork was born in 2010, when the entrepreneurial boom swept the world. What drives entrepreneurs and their companies forward is not only their own ambitions and efforts, but also the boost of venture capital. Venture capital has successfully incubated a large number of entrepreneurs with dreams, and is also one of the beneficiaries of this wave of entrepreneurship, but this book allows us to see the other side of the capital market, obsessed with grand narratives, pursuing huge numbers, because of fear of losing potential opportunities, using rounds of investment to support Adam's ambitions, turned WeWork into a monster that expanded at a loss. We will divide this book into 3 parts. The first part, WeWork founder Adam Neumann and the early story of WeWork. In the second part, let's take a look at the rise of WeWork and what made the company's valuation reach $47 billion. Finally, let's take a look at why Adam was swept out and why WeWork went downhill. First part. Let's start with the life story of Adam Neumann. Adam was an Israelite. As a child, he traveled with his family all over Israel, living in desert towns and on a kibbutz. The farm is a self-sufficient community where people work different jobs for the same wages. This experience allowed Adam to come into contact with what a community is for the first time, and accumulated some basic knowledge for starting a business in the future. At the age of 22, Adam came to New York, USA to seek development. He lives at his sister's house. Although he doesn't have to worry about rent and can go to college with peace of mind, he is not happy because he has no friends to chat with, and he needs to socialize. In order to meet people, he competed with his sister to see who could get to know more neighbors in a month. Adam loses the competition, but gets a startup idea. The neighbors have become very friendly because of this game, and Adam wants to operate a shared public space to let everyone out of the closed apartment. He also took the idea to participate in the school's entrepreneurial competition, but one of the judges thought the idea was too impractical, and Adam was eliminated. During college, Adam was a frequent pub and club frequenter, spending a lot of time socializing, drinking and having fun. There is nothing new in such a life, but he was determined to change, so he started his own business. During his entrepreneurial career, Adam worked in the high heels and baby clothes business, and he also met two important people. One was Rebecca Paltrow, and she married Adam later, which had a great impact on Adam's life and career. The other person is Miguel McKevey, who we mentioned at the beginning, is another founder of WeWork. Miguel has a degree in architecture and has started a business. When he and Adam met, both were anxious about the state of their careers. Adam mentioned to Miguel his entrepreneurial idea when he was in school, and told Miguel that someone would divide a relatively large office space into several smaller ones and rent them out to small companies and individuals. Miguel thinks this approach is very good, so he wants to start a business with Adam to follow this approach. They do what they say. Adam's eloquence is very good. He successfully persuaded an owner to transform a vacant floor of the other party into a co-working space. Miguel drew up a business plan, called the New Space Green Desk, designed the logo, wrote the company's mission statement, and nailed the business cards and flyers. This green desk was the predecessor of WeWork. Although it was sold by Adam and the others, many of them were used in the later WeWork. For example, flexible payment options. Small and micro enterprises and individuals can pay a monthly fee when they work in Adam's shared space, without having to pay too much rent at once. For example, a friendly community atmosphere. People come here to work, the atmosphere is very friendly, and even if there are differences, they can be resolved in a civilized manner. Another example is the division of labor between the two founders. Adam is the visionary, responsible for developing the vision for the company and attracting partners, while Miguel is the doer, responsible for implementing Adam's ideas and managing the design and construction process of each space. This small experiment led Adam and Miguel to discover a great business, bringing people together, building community, and working together to create better ways of working. They also have a bigger ambition, to promote the Green Desk model to the whole United States, and even the world. They started WeWork with a mission to bridge the open spirit and the closed world of the traditional office. It sounds ideal, but it is actually an office leasing agency. Being an intermediary is not easy. You have to be busy at both ends, especially the property owners. They have to get the lease from the owners first, and then they can sublet it out. But the owners themselves can rent out directly without an intermediary, so they rejected them. Once again, Adam communicated with the owners repeatedly with his eloquence and perseverance. Finally, a real estate developer is willing to invest $15 million for a one-third stake in WeWork. You know, WeWork at that time didn't even have a fixed office location. Adam and the others just casually said that they were valued at $45 million, but they didn't expect the other party to actually agree. Such a story, we, as bystanders, would find it unbelievable. But according to the book, Adam has a reality distortion field, a term that was used to describe jobs, saying that a person is able to convince all people within the range of his force field that some seemingly unrealistic possible things are not only possible, but also what they want to achieve. Adam's ability to reality distortion field also played an important role in the subsequent development of WeWork. Let's go back to the early days of WeWork. In February 2010, the first store opened. Adam and Miguel renovated a dilapidated 6-story building, Adam in charge of wild ideas and Miguel in charge of turning those ideas into reality. The office space they transformed is less like a conventional office building and more like a boutique hotel, with many careful designs. Each space is spacious and bright. This small building is very important, and it hides the secret of WeWork's rapid expansion. The first is funding. Adam and the others needed a lot of money to get a lease for a building for several years or to renovate a building. They didn't have much money on hand, so they put the financial pressure on the owner. Not only should the rent be low, but also construction work should be provided. Subsidies to help renovate the interior. With such a demanding cooperation requirement, Adam insisted on negotiating a deal, which shows his negotiating skills. Next, it is the characteristic of WeWork. They are very efficient at furnishing stores. When renovating the first branch, they could finish decorating the first floor in 29 days, open the store immediately after installing the first floor, and then install the next floor. This also reflects WeWork's later operating characteristics, keeping low costs, construction and operations around the clock, and always making fast and cheap choices. In the end, it's Adam's way of attracting tenants. In WeWork, tenants are not called tenants, but members. Such a title can not only enhance the sense of belonging of the tenants, but also conceal WeWork's own status as a second landlord or intermediary. This is actually renting a house by yourself and then renting it out to tenants. Adam is very committed to tenants. He said that the company plans to build an underground gym here and is still negotiating with the city government to build a park on the vacant lot opposite. Those promises never materialized, but it managed to attract a dozen tenants. Why do people want to come to WeWork? Because of thoughtful design, flexible payment options, and a sense of community, people are willing to pay for them, the authors say. In addition, during that period of time, the entrepreneurial trend in the United States became more and more popular. If there is an office space, you can start a business with a computer. Adam also followed this trend and adjusted WeWork's positioning. It is no longer just an office leasing business, but to provide another option for people's American dream and help them start a business better. Entrepreneurs have very low office costs in WeWork. Even if the project fails, as long as they still have a computer and some rent, they can continue to work lightly. The first space quickly filled up, and WeWork began expanding its stores. When opening the third branch, ordinary entrepreneurs may imagine what the 10th branch will look like, but what Adam thinks is that WeWork will surpass the famous investment bank JP Chase, which is the company with the largest leased office space in New York. He even began to define the era. In an interview, Adam said, "The future belongs to the community." He sees himself as a prominent figure among American entrepreneurs and sees WeWork as a rising star in the new American economy. The second part. We've gotten to know Adam and the early days of WeWork. We know that Adam has his ambitions, but in the field of entrepreneurship, ambition is not enough, and sufficient funds are also required. Adam is one of the best at raising money, raising more than $1 billion in venture capital for WeWork. Next, let's take a look at how Adam found funds. One way Adam raised money was through his connections. In the 2 years since he started WeWork, he's raised nearly $7 million just from friends and family. His wife, Rebecca, came from a wealthy family. Early on, Rebecca invested $1 million in WeWork. It was also through Rebecca that Adam entered an organization where the famous and the rich gathered, called the Kabbalah Center. Some of the group went on to become WeWork patrons. Another way Adam raises money is to tell stories to capital. We know that WeWork's core business is simple: leasing space, subdividing the space, and renting it out. In fact, he is the second landlord. Why are so many people willing to trust him and invest large sums of money? This is about Adam's ability to tell stories. In order to obtain more funds and make the company more valuable, he adjusted WeWork's positioning again and moved from the real estate industry to the technology field. On the second anniversary of the company, Adam said that WeWork is not a real estate company, but a technology company. Why do you say that? The reason is simple. If WeWork is only positioned as a real estate company, the company's value can increase by up to 5 times, but if it defines itself as a technology company, its valuation can increase by 10 times or 20 times, because the capital at that time like to invest in those companies. Companies that want to use technology to subvert and swallow entire industries. Adam said that WeWork is a technology company and a physical social network, but he can't write code himself, and he can hardly use a computer. He also has a reading disability, and his wife and assistants have to help handle most of his emails. He himself doesn't understand, so there must be technical talents in the WeWork team, right? For a long time, according to the book, no one at WeWork had technical expertise, and the company was run on Google Docs and sprawling spreadsheets. Once, the company's network broke down, and no one could find a solution. Why? Because the information technology director at the time was a high school student, he was in class and couldn't solve it. It can be said that WeWork does not have the DNA of a technology company, nor does it have an engineer culture, but Adam has always insisted on developing software in-house instead of outsourcing. One reason is to package WeWork as a technology company so that Adam can continue to tell stories and raise funds. Although Adam is good at raising money, if he alone took the initiative, maybe WeWork's valuation would not rise so fast. This valuation myth can expand so much and last for such a long time, and it is also inseparable from the contribution of venture capital institutions. They smelled WeWork early on and made heavy bets again and again, which made WeWork's valuation skyrocket. In 2012, WeWork's valuation was still $100 million. 2 years later, this number became $1.5 billion. It didn't take long for WeWork's total valuation to reach $5 billion, making it one of the most valuable unicorn companies in the world. 1. What did they have then? It has just 24 stores and less than $150 million in revenue. Why are VCs so fond of WeWork? First of all, the story Adam told is very much in line with the preferences of venture capitalists. The author said in the book that the goal of venture capital is not to find the ceiling of an industry, but to find a second solution that can subvert the industry. If WeWork is just the leader in the shared office industry, then it is just the ceiling of the industry. And Adam turned his competitor into office buildings. He said, "We are not competing with other co-working spaces, we are competing with office buildings." In the United States, this is a $15 trillion asset class. From a global perspective looking at it, the real estate market is close to $200 trillion, and it is this market that WeWork wants to disrupt with technology. If WeWork can really build a world-renowned brand in such a huge market and reshape the way people work, that is the second plan that venture capital wants. Walking out of the small pond of shared office and into the vast ocean of the real estate market, this makes WeWork seem to have unlimited potential. Secondly, VCs are willing to bet heavily on WeWork, but they also have their own concerns. There is a new term called FOMO, which is the fear of missing out. In the past few decades, the success of technology giants such as Google, Facebook, and Netflix has made many venture capitalists make a lot of money, and one big success can offset several investment failures. Many investment institutions that did not participate were jealous, and they were tired of missing out, so they opened their money bags and prepared to throw money at the next technology giant. They bet heavily on a company like WeWork. In fact, it does not necessarily mean that they firmly believe that it will succeed. The more likely reason is that they are afraid that they will miss the next giant. With the help of venture capital, WeWork's valuation has skyrocketed. But capital money is not taken for nothing, and there must be rewards. What did Adam reward them with? Rapid expansion. For a period of time, WeWork opened a branch every 18 days, and Adam's goal was to grow the company as quickly as possible. The rapid expansion is actually a bit contradictory to Adam's original intention of running the community. To run a community well requires operators to invest a lot of time and energy. This method is difficult to achieve large-scale expansion and profitability in a short period of time. Many competitors have to give up because the profit margin is too low. But Adam didn't have these worries at all, and there was only growth in his heart. He also has his own expansion strategy. He signs long-term leases at low prices, often for 20 years. Each lease has a rent-free period at the beginning, and WeWork can gobble up as much as possible during the rent-free period. Wait until the lease term is up, and then worry about the rent issue. During the period of rapid expansion, in order to snatch an office space from competitors, Adam would even offer a 25% premium. These methods can be said to only look at the present and ignore the future, only look at growth and ignore profits. We may sound unreasonable now, but these methods are in line with the people's behavior style under the entrepreneurial trend at that time. Reid Hoffman, a famous investor in Silicon Valley, put forward a concept of blitz expansion. This concept believes that startup companies should acquire customers by any means, and then find ways to make money. But Hoffman also mentioned that expansion should be responsible, and Adam's expansion methods are obviously irresponsible. Ambitious Adam has also extended his hands to more fields and started a variety of new projects, including education services, bicycle maintenance services, meal delivery services, gym brands, and even perfumes. Messy business distracts the team. But the clutter is the small problem, and the expensive scaling is the big problem. In 2016, due to excessive expenses, WeWork lost $90 million a year. Adam's way of coping was careful calculation. He controlled the progress of some projects and called on the company to save money together. However, in the eyes of many people, this kind of careful calculation is a kind of hypocrisy. Adam is buying mansions and taking helicopter vacations while the company is losing money. Also in 2016, the high wave of venture capital investment began to fall, and many famous investors issued warnings about the high valuation and high expenses of startup companies. Investors are becoming wary of companies like WeWork. The situation is not good for WeWork, because they are burning cash too fast to continue to expand without new investment. At the critical juncture, a person appeared, and he not only offered Adam money, but also encouraged Adam to continue to step on the accelerator, to expand the scale, and to step on it hard. That man is Masayoshi's son, the founder of SoftBank, known for his bold bets. Sun Jingyi is here, and the era of WeWork's careful calculation will soon pass, and it will continue to roar forward. The third part. Next, let's understand why Adam was cleared out by the company and why WeWork went downhill. Sun Jingyi played an important role in this process. In October 2016, Sun Jingyi established the Vision Fund with a scale of $100 billion. This fund mainly invests in technology companies. In addition to WeWork, they also invested in travel giant Uber and office software Slack. The investment strategy of the Vision Fund is to manufacture kings, which is to inject huge capital into startup companies and push them to the #1 position in the industry. Sun Jingyi has absolute voice and decision-making power in the Vision Fund. He decided to invest very quickly. Take WeWork as an example. From the time he visited the company's headquarters to the time he and Adam signed and sealed, an investment of more than $4 billion was reached in less than half an hour. Masayoshi's son has his logic for investing so much money. He believes that the WeWork business is a territory-grabbing game. Whoever owns the most territory will win in the end. His funds can enable WeWork to beat any competitor. In his view, the valuation of tens of billions of dollars does not reflect the maximum value of WeWork. If the company can expand its scale by 50 times, its actual value can be $1 trillion. Adam and Masayoshi's son hit it off immediately. He urged the team to find ways to meet Masayoshi's son's expectations, and asked executives to continuously increase the company's expected revenue figures and continuously enlarge the company's development model for the next 5 years, regardless of whether such adjustments are in line with reality. With Sun Jingyi's financial support, Adam expanded even more unscrupulously. If competitors refused to merge, Adam and the others would use rent-free contracts to poach tenants. The power of money made Adam feel invincible. He once bragged to an investor, "I can kill any co-working space company." How did the expansion pay off? By 2017, the company had opened 200 branches around the world, and often more than 100 new employees joined in a day. Buffett once said that excellent companies often have a wide moat, that is, barriers to competition. As a company valued at tens of billions of dollars, WeWork seems to have only money as a barrier to competition. Except for the money bag, everything in this company seems to be pieced together. For example, WeWork wants to set up a sales team, but apart from the sales staff, there is neither sales training nor sales model. For another example, Adam would give executives instructions without any basis to increase work goals by 20%. If the executives asked him the basis, he would say, "The basis is that I think you should do more." In the process of rapid expansion, in fact, many investors, business seniors, and WeWork executives have persuaded Adam to suspend growth first, consolidate the foundation, systematize the sales and leasing business, and stop getting involved in non-core businesses. But Adam didn't listen, because this is his company, and everything is centered on him, not to mention, he has a lot of money in his hand, and the money can help him solve the problem. For example, WeWork has been stumbling in terms of technology. It doesn't matter, just spend money to buy it. Adam has acquired 5 companies in 6 months, ranging from a coding academy to an online platform that helps people plan in-person events. WeWork's valuation is getting higher and higher, and it is getting bigger and bigger. It stands to reason that it is time to bring in some more experienced professionals. But Adam is nepotism, and most of the executives are his relatives and friends. It is difficult for outside professionals to integrate here, and they can't understand his style. Adam has built drinking and partying into the company's corporate culture since he started the company, and he has missed numerous board meetings. Adam's wanton behavior, the way he ran the company with the gas pedal and no brakes, quickly had consequences. For example, the atmosphere within the company changes. Originally, many employees came here with enthusiasm and wanted to work with the company to change the way people work. But that illusion is usually shattered within 18 months of being on the job, and disappointed employees leave. After they leave, newcomers fill in droves, and the process continues. As another example, the company will try to whitewash financial data. Since 2012, the company has embarked on a long road to loss. In order to make the financial data look more optimistic, the company invented a new metric called community-adjusted EBIT. To put it simply, design, marketing, and management expenses are not included in the cost because the company believes that these costs will gradually disappear over time. Such adjustments can turn losses into profits. For example, in 2017, WeWork had a loss of $933 million, but after whitewashing, it made a profit of $233 million. Such a large loss, as a bystander, sounds frightening, but the book writes that Sun Jingyi told the people in his company to review WeWork's business and not worry too much about profitability. He said to his subordinates, "It feels better than simply looking at financial. The numbers are more important, and you have to feel the power." What about Adam? He also wants to further expand and reshape the company's brand, turn WeWork into WeCompany, and prepare to develop more products. In the summer of 2018, Sun Jingyi wanted to continue to spend money on WeWork through the Vision Fund and buy shares from existing shareholders. But the major shareholders of the Vision Fund disagreed, and Sun Jingyi had to find the money himself, investing $2 billion in WeWork. It was this investment that allowed WeWork to reach a valuation of $47 billion in 2019. 2019 is the most glorious year for Adam and WeWork, but also the most difficult year for them. This year, they need to raise more money because they are spending too fast and the funds are not enough. To this end, WeWork announced the launch of the listing. Going public requires a lot of preparatory work, such as preparing the books for public review and submitting a financial report to the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. This report is the core document for listing. It needs to explain to the public what WeWork has done, what its business potential is, and it needs to let investors understand the risks of the company. Such documents are generally professional and dry, filled with diagrams, footnotes, and financial data. WeWork put a lot of effort into preparing this document, but it backfired when it was submitted. Through this document, people see many unknown sides of this company. Adam would buy the office building and lease it to the company he founded for hundreds of millions of dollars in rent. He sold several trademarks he registered in his early years to WeWork and earned nearly $6 million. He reused his wife Rebecca and her relatives, and he also asked that Rebecca appoint the heir after his death instead of the board of directors. It all makes WeWork feel more like a family business than a public company. This financial document is so important. Why is it such an effect? Because it was led by Adam's wife Rebecca. Rebecca cares more about the aesthetics of the document and how to promote the WeWork brand than the data. At this time, Rebecca held a bunch of titles in WeWork: co-founder, chief brand officer, chief influence officer, and so on. Adam has unconditional trust in his wife, and he thinks Rebecca is almost, always, 99% right. After the release of this financial document, it also put pressure on Adam's roadshow. Typically, entrepreneurs use roadshows to stimulate investor interest in their companies before an IPO. These investors will not take risks by feeling like Sun Jingyi. They want to look at the data and details, and they will question Adam's statement. Adam is not good at coping with negative pressure, and his performance during the roadshow was very bad. Not only did he speak nonsense, but he also dragged out the roadshow and squeezed the time for investors to ask questions. Adam's charm had failed. His charisma has been a key driver of WeWork's growth in the past, and he has been popular with venture capitalists for his eloquence and ability to close deals. But now, he has become an unfavorable factor affecting the company's valuation. Every time a roadshow is held, the company's valuation will drop by $1 billion US. He and WeWork stood on the cusp. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission asked them to revise their financial reports because the contents inside may mislead investors. Some media exposed the truth that WeWork lost $2 billion US a year and reported that Adam took drugs on the plane. The company's valuation has repeatedly declined. At this moment, Adam has become the biggest burden. Led by SoftBank, WeWork's board of directors staged a coup. Adam was forced to resign, and the company's listing was postponed indefinitely. Although Adam is no longer the CEO, he is still the chairman of the company and has super voting rights. In order to let Adam leave completely and help WeWork find a way out, Sunjingi took another shot, acquired WeWork, and gave Adam a huge severance package. In October 2021, WeWork finally succeeded in listing, but it still failed to reverse the loss situation. According to the company's financial report for the first quarter of 2022, their net loss exceeded $500 million US. From a valuation of $47 billion US to a market value of around $5 billion US, there are many victims in this process. Employee options and stocks are no longer valuable. WeWork wants to lay off employees, but it can't even pay severance pay. SoftBank is the biggest victim among them. Tens of billions of dollars eventually bought a falling company, and it was pulled down from the altar. But there is one person it is difficult for us to say whether he is a victim, and that is Adam. He lost his company, people stopped taking his words as insights, and he went from entrepreneurial hero to laughingstock. Perhaps he will still walk barefoot on the streets of New York, thinking about his next entrepreneurial project, but he is no longer poor and white, but a rich man who has earned hundreds of millions of dollars through failure. Now, let's review the essence of this book. The founder of WeWork, Adam Neumann, is an Israeli. Ambitious Adam, relying on the business opportunities he discovered, his good eloquence, raised money, used contacts, and together with another founder, Miguel, turned WeWork into a shining entrepreneurial star. WeWork was born and became synonymous with shared office. Their original intention was to give the world a better way of working, but their original intention was gradually replaced by expansion and valuation. WeWork has grown from an entrepreneurial star to an entrepreneurial myth, and various investors have contributed a lot. They want to invest in the next technology giant, and they are afraid of missing out on another money-making machine. They put too much trust in the founder Adam, only looking at growth, not business. WeWork eventually grew into a giant monster, but should only Adam, SoftBank, and Sunjingi pay the price? Perhaps everyone who has supported this monster cannot escape the blame. In addition, being responsible for failure is a valuable quality. Admitting failure and daring to take failure on yourself is a test of a person's courage. In fact, there is another way to be responsible for failure, which is to seriously investigate the reasons for failure, sum up experience and lessons, and then grow. I hope that all those who have experienced the WeWork story have brought their experience and lessons to follow-up work, and I hope this book can also help everyone grow. This is the end of this episode of the show. What do you think about it differently? Welcome to leave a message to discuss with everyone. Hey, if you like our channel, please subscribe us. Haha, remember to like it.